It is a very big day on the Rip City Drive. So many things to get to. I have an update on my ticket situation down in the Valley. I took my daughter this morning to the DMV to get her learner's permit. That was an experience. You can always listen to the show and podcast the station via our free iHeartRadio app. The telephone number here on the program is 503-248-0620. And if you want to text me direct, you can do so at 360-281-5473. And we're also on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, and you can pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and we always stream all our local shows where you can watch live, and you can bring up any of the old shows on our YouTube page. But I appreciate your time, and today is a very big day. I'll get to all of my personal matters a little bit later in the program. Travis Demers, voice of the Trailblazers, is going to join me coming up at 3:20, and then at 5:20, former Trailblazer and current radio analyst Michael Holton is going to stop by. Also at 5 o'clock, I think the first time ever, the big boss here and the market president for iHeart Portland, Marshall Burgess, is going to stop by for a couple of minutes to deliver a message. So a big show. And the reason why it's a big show is that after many, many months, I would say roughly about 18, we announced today that the partnership between iHeart Portland and your Portland Trailblazers will continue into the foreseeable future with a multi-year deal. And that's a big deal because I have learned over the course of time in radio, and I didn't understand any of these concepts when I first started doing radio on KVAN 1550 back in the day, or the early days when I started out as an intern with the Fan, or then moving to the Game, and then going to the Bay Area, and now coming back to Portland to have a chance to work with 620 Rip City Radio. When I was younger, I was always focused on getting behind the mic and flapping my gums, dropping ridiculous hot takes and trying to make a name for myself. That's my focus. That's what I cared about. I was obsessed with sports, and I wanted to talk about it. But like with anything else, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this with your jobs, when you get into something and then you start to get a little more experience under your belt, you start to understand the big picture. And what I have come to know and understand in the business of radio is that your partners and the partnerships and the relationships that you create over the course of time are very important. They're critical to success in being able to deliver live and local content to the community. Now, for me, I'm a radio listener. I grew up listening to the radio, and I know many of you listen to the radio. The majority of people in the country still listen to radio to this day. The best type of radio is live and local content. You know, it's nice when you're in Portland that you can pull up stations that talk about your local sports teams, or stations that focus on local news or different political matters. You know, we always take interest in what's going on around us first before we start to take a look at a national level. Now, I enjoy the national headlines and some of the other topics elsewhere, but I'm a local guy. I've lived out here for an extended period of time, since 1987, and many of you have been here much longer than I have. So over that course of time, I've just really come to understand the importance of, you know, those relationships and what it means for local radio. In order to be able to provide, you know, that type of service to the community, you've got to have great partners that make that happen. And the Portland Trailblazers are one of the very best organizations and partners that I've ever had a chance to work with. Now, I know for Blazer fans, you know, you're going to look at the team and the results of the team on the floor first. And you're going to have frustration at times with some of the players. You may get angry at the coach. Many people are always going to complain about ownership no matter who owns the team. And I get that. You know, we're a results-based society. What have you done for me lately? Are you on your way to a championship? How many games did you win last year? That's what it comes down to. And I get it. But the Trailblazers as an organization go much deeper than just, you know, wins and losses on the basketball court. Their community relations department has been doing terrific work for years, much more than they get credit for. So I appreciate that. But also in the front office, aside from the basketball side, there are so many people within the organization that are um, local who have been here for their entire life, people who grew up as Trailblazer fans and now have a chance to work for the organization. Just a lot of good people with families who are raising their kids here in the area, and people I enjoy having a chance to communicate with. And so I just want to say thank you to Kevin Kinghorn and his entire group, his team with the Trailblazers, and the work that we've been able to do together. Now, more importantly, what does this partnership mean for you, the listener? Well, it means that number one, you know where to go to get your Trailblazer action right here on 620 Rip City Radio or via our free iHeartRadio app. It also means that we're going to be able to add a lot more local programming that's focused on the Portland Trailblazers. In addition to Blazers Game Day and Fifth Quarter that you hear on every game day, you're also going to get Courtside Monday, in addition to Blazers Insider Report with Sean Hyken. And as a result of our partnership, Sean Hyken is also a member of our team and someone that's covering the team at all stops. And we're going to have a Blazer wrap-up show as well, hosted by Brendan Slaughter. So your number one spot to come for Trailblazers games, talk, and insight is going to be right here, where it should be. So it's a big day. It's exciting. And these type of partnerships, as I mentioned before, are critical and very important. And for me, on a personal level, when I left to go to the Bay Area, I didn't want to leave in the first place. But the opportunity was there. And the station I was with here at the time, they were going through some transition. So I made the move. So when I had the opportunity to come back, but more importantly, come back and work for a company that carries Trailblazer games and be a part of that team and to work with my buddy Travis Demers, who's like a brother now, it was a no-brainer. So I'm pretty excited. Today is a very big day, and this is great for the entire station and for Trailblazer fans. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for taking time to listen and follow our coverage and ride the emotional roller coaster, which is Trailblazer basketball. And that's what it comes down to. You know what's fun about sports? It's being able to hang out and watch games together, talk about games. And a lot of times you're doing it with people you don't even know. Strangers. But sports has a way of bringing us together. It happens to me every time I go to a live sporting event. I'll sit down in my seat. I might be with my buddy Steve or somebody else. And before you know it, you're talking to someone you've never met before because you share a common interest, which is the Trailblazers. And I think that's pretty cool. So if you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620, that is your telephone number, 503-248-0620. You can reach out to me on social. You'll find me on X at Chad and Rip City. And, of course, you can text me direct. Just hit me up at 360-281-5473. All right, here's the update on the ticket situation. It looks like I'm going to get over. I made the call to the courthouse, and as a result of the spectacular officer, I am going to be able to take a course online, and if I do it within 90 days, the ticket goes away. Like I mentioned before, it's not too often in today's world where you can look around, whether it's at the grocery store, maybe it's going out to dinner, you go to a movie, you go to a sporting event, you buy concert tickets. Like, we're getting punked at every turn. Like, we can't get over. There's no good deals. So when something like this happens, I just applaud and say, thank you. You just take your moment, you realize that you got over, and you smile and you move on. So that's the update on the ticket situation. Now, I don't know why the information wasn't submitted. I don't know why she looked like a movie star. I don't know why they have movie star cops down in the valley near Grand Ronde. I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's the update there. Now, I did take my daughter, Kaylee, to get her learner's permit today. What an experience that was. Usually the DMV, I think we all know, not the best place in the world. Sometimes the people that work there maybe don't like their job that much. You usually have to wait in line. So here was the plan. I knew today was going to be busy, so I had everything set up the night before, systematically set up to where I could just, knock it over. One task to the next and move on. So showed up with my daughter, to the 9:15 appointment, roll up with all the proper information, and come to find out that the DMV does not offer the actual test that you have to take. They've contracted it out to one of the driving schools. And I'm like, wait, what? So I looked on the phone. There was a driving school that was about 1 mile away, very convenient, right over there in Orchards. It opened at 10. Our appointment at the DMV was 9:15. We got done by 9:25. So I took my daughter over to Starbucks, got her a little refresher, and then we went and waited in line. Now, she was nervous, had never done this type of thing before, wasn't sure how she would do on the test, but she took the test and passed. We go back to the DMV, but because we did not have an appointment the second time around, we had to wait, take a number, and it was about 30 minutes. And then she stepped up, got her picture, got her permit, and then boom, we were on. And she's pretty excited about that. I would say the biggest irritation is calling the insurance company and knowing that your life is about to change. So I got to thinking about it. I've got a buddy, my workout partner, who's got not one, not two, but 8 kids. And they're all different ages. Several of them are grown and out of the house. I'm like, hey, Luke, how did you manage to pay for insurance for all your kids? He's like, well, we didn't. And he goes, I couldn't. I had too many kids and it's too expensive. So I made them get jobs to pay for insurance and gas. I'm like, okay. Sounds like a good idea to me. But Kaylee was excited. So I think this weekend we'll carve out some time on Saturday and Sunday to do some practice driving. And I live in an area in North Vancouver where we can get out in the quote unquote rural area just a little bit and be able to find some spots that are less crowded, less hectic, not freeway type activity. I think we'll be okay. So that's the journey I'm going on there with her. But like I told her, like, hey, if Isaac can do this, being autistic and be able to master it, you got this too. So we'll see how it shakes out. All right. We're going to keep things rolling. Travis Demers is going to join us coming up next, the voice of your Portland Trailblazers. And we'll get his take on the extension. It is big news. The press release was dropped today. Trailblazers and iHeart Portland have extended their relationship into the foreseeable future. And that's great for us, great for the station. And I can't wait for the basketball games to begin. All right, Travis Demers is up next. Michael Holton stops by at 5:20. Telephone number 503-248-0620. And, of course, you can always listen live and podcast the show via our free iHeartRadio app. And, oh, by the way, as you know, I'm a man of the people. I've got some goodies courtesy of Aaron Grossman, Ryan Flaherty, and the Trailblazers, including a Timani Kamara jersey, a Scoot Henderson jersey, and the entire set, all 4 of the collectible glasses that we're going to give away today. So just listen to me for your chance to win. We'll talk to TD coming up next. Yeah, great news today. The Portland Trailblazers and iHeartMedia Portland have reached an agreement on an extension. And so this is going to be the place to come to get all of your Blazer content and where you can hear the voice of your Portland Trailblazers, Travis Demers, and he joins us right now. Trav, great news today, man. I'm excited about the extension, and I can't wait for the season to get underway.
Yeah, me too. It's coming fast, but not fast enough, and it means you and I and Michael and Curtis and Travis Clinton, we all get to keep working together, and Chris and Sean. So I'm fired up for another year.
Yeah, you learn over time, at least I have, and I know you feel the same way, that in this business, when you get that pocket of time where you get a chance to work with good people, it sure makes everything a lot more enjoyable. And the radio team that you have assembled there with yourself and Michael and the rest of the crew, it's the best. It makes game days and those long hours fun. I look forward to going to games and working with those guys every day, including yourself.
Yeah, and I can't obviously forget about Rich Patterson, down in Studio C, because he's as big a part of it as anybody. But to your point, Chad, we've all had jobs or situations where there are people around us that even if we don't have any issues with them, it's like, okay, this guy's annoying, or there's nobody that we work with that's like that. So to have everybody that we work with, that we show up with and spend a lot of time together with, be people that we enjoy being around, that's hard to find.
Well, you know what's cool? I was talking about this earlier, but you're one of those people that's had a tremendous impact in my career here in radio. And one of the biggest things you taught me during your time here at the station as you were helping build 620 Rip City Radio is, partnerships and those relationships and how valuable they are. And so it's been really nice to work with Kevin Kinghorn and Ryan Flaherty and the entire group, because there's so many people within the organization that no one knows because they're not the players or the coaches or anyone on the basketball side, and that's fine. But they do great work, and they've been with the team for a long period of time, and most of them grew up here and are now raising their families here, which I think is part of what makes the organization so nice.
Yeah, there are a lot of people within the organization that have, they've been here a long time, or they've been with the organization a long time, and it matters to them. And to have everybody essentially on the same page and doing all the same things with the same goals in mind, it makes everything a lot easier, because there is rarely, if ever, any pushback. We're all trying to accomplish the same things. And at the end of the day, we're able to do what we need to do. They do what they need to do, and it all works.
And you were telling me you've added some new affiliates to the Trailblazers Audio Network?
Yeah, as of right now, we've added one in Tri-City, Washington, a place that we've never had Trailblazers broadcasts before, KJOX. They're going to take, I think, around half the slate or so. They've got a lot of other local high school play-by-play and stuff like that. And I think some Kraken games. But, yeah, we've never had coverage in Tri-Cities, Washington. So to have KJOX on board now is awesome.
You know what's awesome is you being the voice of the Trailblazers and speaking to everyone across the network during games. Like, it still blows me away. And I saw the press release, 7th year as voice of the Blazers. Can you believe that?
No, I can't. And that's 7 full-time years. That doesn't count the year that I got to fill in, which included a trip to the Western Conference Finals and a Game 7 and all that stuff, and a 4 overtime game. And, dude, I pinch myself all the time that, like, I get to do this, and it's just sometimes it doesn't seem real, but I count my blessings every day.
Well, I got to say thank you, because last week you had me over to your house in Sherwood, which was awesome. But I had a chance to meet Mom and Dad, who were in town from New York. And, dude, it was great, man, having a chance to see Mom and Dad face-to-face. I've talked to them on the phone a few times, but getting a chance to sit down and have a cup of coffee and hang out with Mom and Dad for a while was a blast. And then at the same time, I had a chance to watch you in dad action with your 2 sons, and you handled it like a pro.
Well, I hope by now. I mean, none of us are ever really pros in that. But I also have to give you credit, because you brought me a couple of tomatoes that you grew yourself. I didn't know that you had a green thumb.
I know. It's so funny, because I'm like, it can't be that difficult. And I've done that before with certain items where I'm like, I can do that. And then I try it, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. But I was talking with my daughter, and so we planted a few things. And I like tomatoes, and so I decided to plant a few. And then the best part was they actually came through, and a couple of them were monsters. And so I thought, man, I think Trav would be down with this. So I brought you a couple of big ones.
Well, I do love tomatoes. I ate one of them. The other one is still there, and they are beautiful, large, delicious tomatoes, just how I like them.
And by the way, I love the video that you posted up for me to see from Mr. Shine talking about Daniel Jones and how he sucks at football.
The best part of that was like, look, we all know Daniel Jones sucks, right? We've been saying this forever. He's terrible. He's awful, but he has to start. It's like, this is what we've been talking about for, I don't know, the better part of a decade, Chad.
Oh, it's so good. So with this season, a brand new season, Dame is back. They get Drew Holiday. We're waiting to see what the development of the young guys that we saw really come on at the end of last year. Like, what aspect of this season are you most excited about?
Well, I really want to see what the next step is for some of the young guys, right? Because we saw, the step that Scoot Henderson took last year. We saw what Denny Avdia did in his first year here. We saw that, Tamani Kamara, we knew he was an elite defender, but last year he led the team in three-point percentage. So what can he do to add to his game? And he got better finishing around the rim and better rebounder and was, pulling down double-doubles and things like that. And now when you have all of these pieces that are healthy, that are ready to go. Matisse Thybulle for a full year, who had I know it was a very limited amount of time he played last year, but he had the best three-point percentage of his career last year as that 3-and-D guy. So to have all of those things together, obviously Donovan Clingan and Shaden Sharp and see what their next steps are. But to me, I just really want to see what the development is and where things can go, because this team has gone through a lot of losing. And now that they've had a taste of winning, and the young guys are figuring out how to win closer games. And now you bring in somebody like Drew Holiday, who has won a couple of championships and is still an elite defender and can help move things along. I just really want to see how it all comes together.
I really believe this team can be a top 10 defense throughout the entire season from start to finish. And I look at their schedule and the way it sets up, I think, kindly to them. I'm looking at 45 wins and a top 10 defense. Is that crazy or is that doable?
I think it's doable. I don't know really what to expect yet, right? Because we don't know, what the center rotation is going to look like. You have to remember, Chad, that there were a lot of games last year where DeAndre Ayton did a lot of things to help this team win. Yeah. He was obviously not in their long-term plans. They're turning the reins over to Donovan Clingan and Young Hansen, and you still have Robert Williams III in there as well. So how does that center rotation look? But the defense, to your point, it's not that I would expect them to be a top 10 defense. I'd be surprised if they weren't a top 10 defense. There's still a lot of questions with the offense. No more Anthony Simons. You don't have anybody that is that, with the exception of Shaden Sharp, but he hasn't proven it over an extended period of time. You don't really have anybody that you have a proven track record that you can rely on night in and night out. Are we going to find that guy this year? Is it going to be Shaden Sharp? Is it going to be Scoot dropping 9 assists a night and helping that offense flow? So if the offense can take a step and the defense picks up where they left off, yeah, I think 45 wins is within reason. But also, they're still a young team. There are going to be some growing pains. So if they win 38, 39, 40, 41, somewhere in that ballpark, I don't think it's taking a step back. It's more wins than they had last year, and they're still trying to take the next step. I absolutely think they're going to be in play-in contention this year. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be in play-in contention this year and get a play-in spot.
That would be great. So what's next on the docket for you before the season? You've got the Rip City Rally that's going to be going on, and then you're attending some league meetings as well. Is that right?
Yeah, league broadcast meetings in New Jersey, middle of September, Rip City Rally in the middle of September. School starts next week, and just trying to get my, all my notes ready to go for the season to be started. And, there's kind of like 3 phases of that, and I'm just about done with phase 2. And then, it'll give me, 6 weeks or so before the season starts to get all my templates and stuff done, and that's about it.
Someone that grew up in New York, how do you all view New Jersey?
It's very green. There's some nice parts of New Jersey. Honestly, Chad, like all of the trash talk about New Jersey and Boston and stuff like that, it's more just for fun than it is anything else. But I know a lot of people from New Jersey. There are a lot of really good people in New Jersey. The only thing that's annoying about it is people from New Jersey saying they're from New York, because they're not.
It's funny. I'm looking at a picture right now that someone cropped a Boston Red Sox cap and put it on your head, and it looks hilarious. I laughed out loud when I saw
Yeah,
it.
that was Big John, and I want to punch him for it.
Like, I know you. No one could pay you enough money to wear a Red Sox hat. You're not doing it.
Yes, they can.
Well, hey, buddy.
Everybody has a price, Jed.
That's true. We all have a price. Well, I'll tell you what. I just want to say thanks. You were instrumental in this entire process over the last 18 months of getting to a point where we're able to announce the extension of the partnership between iHeart Portland and the Portland Trailblazers. And this is great news. So thank you for all the work that you did that no one saw that was vital. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for saying that, Chad. Obviously, you have been too, and the fact that we can all continue to work together and continue to do what we do and have fun and make great radio and watch the team on the rise, it's pretty exciting.
And by the way, I love your mom and dad. You can tell when someone's been married for a long time and that it just works because your dad was trying to tell me a story about music and your mom was correcting him, and he just shook it off and smiled and said, as I was saying, boom. And I was like, good. That's a good married couple right there. Love it.
Yeah, that tracks. That absolutely tracks.
All right, buddy. We'll catch up soon, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Chad.
There you go. Travis Demers, the voice of your Portland Trailblazers. Yeah, someone, John Lucroftka, took a Boston Red Sox cap and cropped it on Travis's dome, and I'm looking at it on X right now. That's not going to happen. That'd be like someone putting a Raider cap on top of me. Or a lot of you Blazer fans rolling around in like a Lakers jersey. That's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Oh, speaking of Daniel Jones, he's been named the starter in Indianapolis. So can I assume that Anthony Richardson is done? Does he no longer have a future with the Colts? Here's a question I have about the Colts and their stupidity with the quarterback situation. One, they're opening up a season with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. I mean, that's like giving a middle finger to your fans and saying, we don't care about winning because you can't win with those two guys at quarterback, even though the division is brutal and there are wins to be had there because it's a weak competition within the AFC South. But when you go out and draft a guy like Anthony Richardson, who had what was it Brian Noe said the other day? Just over 300 snaps in college. So he had very little experience in college, unlike a guy like Bo Nix, who played multiple years, or Dylan Gabriel. And he is an athletic, physical specimen. So you know that physically he's more gifted than a lot of different athletes, but raw as a quarterback. So if you know that and you draft him, but then you discard him after a little over a year, how's that proper development? Shouldn't you be patient in the process and say, hey, we're drafting him because we think he's got a chance to be great. We love his physical tools, but he has very little experience at that position, so we got to take our time and be patient. Really a horrific decision and really mismanagement from the front office and the coaching staff and how they're dealing with Anthony Richardson. And I feel bad for him because he's been put in a spot to fail. And we see this with athletes a lot, where they get drafted, they go to a bad organization, they get put in a bad spot, they don't get the proper coaching, there's turmoil all around, and then they get blamed and benched, and then they become a washout. Now, I don't know if Anthony Richardson can become a great quarterback or not, or even be a middle-of-the-road starter, but he hasn't been given a shot. Same thing with Trey Lance. So I hope that Richardson, if his time in Indianapolis is done, he can move somewhere else in a place where he has a chance to work with a coaching staff that will be more patient and really teach him and kind of build him up from the ground level. That's what it comes down to. But so many of these teams, they draft a quarterback or a raw quarterback with good physical tools, and they show no patience in the process, and he becomes a washout. That's why I respect guys like Geno Smith, who started with the Jets, or Sam Darnold, who started with the Jets, or take your pick. Joey Harrington, who started with the Lions before they were run by a head coach that knows what he's doing. You know, you get stuck in a bad spot. Sometimes you need to be revived. How about Baker Mayfield? Did a good job early with the Browns, got hurt, They decided to go in a different direction. They've been a complete disaster ever since. And now Baker gets rejuvenated by the Rams and makes the jump to Tampa. And now he's playing good football. And he's confident. Geno Smith had a chance to be reborn. Pete Carroll brought him in. They worked with him. They got him to play acceptable football, above average quarterback football in the NFL. And now look at him. New contract, new deal, and has a chance to play for the Raiders. Sometimes it just requires patience, and it requires a plan. And some of these teams have no plan, and they hit the eject button so quick. What a waste of a draft pick if you handle it like that. That's all. It's no surprise. And Chris Ballard has done a good job in Indianapolis of getting the roster loaded up with good talent. But the problem is he's failed miserably at the quarterback position. But it's just amazing to me. You look at these same teams, the Browns, always bad. The Jets, always bad. Maybe it will be different now with Coach Glenn and the New York Jets, but the problem is they've still got the same ownership. How about the Knicks? The same teams, always having problems, usually picking up near the top of the draft in their respective sports. Leadership is critical. Coaching's important. Leadership is critical. And then the organizations that know what they're doing, they're always contending for postseason or championships. The Patriots have been well run under Mr. Kraft. The Pittsburgh Steelers for years have been a model of consistency. The Baltimore Ravens, one of the best run organizations in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles have probably the best general manager in Howie Roseman. Genius. The Kansas City Chiefs, a model of consistency. And it's not just Patrick Mahomes. They were like that before he came in. It's no surprise. The Denver Broncos struggled for a bit when they were being run by the trust. Then new ownership comes in. They get Sean Payton, and now richest owner in sports in the NFL. And they've got a coach that knows how to develop a young quarterback. And they put Russ and took on that dead cap money over 2 years, and it hasn't slowed them a bit. But some teams, like the Raiders, I think they're going to be better now because they have leadership like Tom Brady and Pete Carroll. But for years and years, whether it's Al Davis or Mark Davis, the decisions that they've made have come back to bite them. So it's no surprise when you see the same teams, picking up near the top of the draft because of incompetence. But the Colts, they're idiots. They were going to draft Anthony Richardson. He has no experience. He's a physical specimen. But why don't we just throw him out there right away? Doesn't perform. You don't give him the help he needs, and then boom, he gets benched. And that's a good sign that you might be in trouble if Daniel Jones takes your job. Ugh. Thank God I'm not a Colts fan. I don't want to be a Colts fan. Never want to be a Raiders fan. The Saints, the Browns, they're just certain franchises they just stink, like rotten milk or soured milk. And I hate that too. My daughter came up to me the other night. Will you smell this and tell me if it's bad? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking a sniff of that milk. That to me is reprehensible. When you know something's bad or it might be bad, asking somebody else in your family to sniff it. I said, honey, I love you, but I'm not sniffing that, and never ask me to do that again. That is gross, man. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Michael Holton, you're going to stop by at 520. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can text me direct at 360-281-5473. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Trailblazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Tony in Boring has just reached out, and he goes, well, I'm like your daughter. I asked my family members to confirm something smelling off. It's not well received. Well, of course it's not well received. I think it's one of the most impolite things you can do to somebody. We've all done it before where you pull something out of the fridge, usually milk, you take a whiff and know that it's wrong. And so for some reason, you feel the need to walk over to someone sitting at the kitchen table and say, hey, will you smell this and tell me if it's bad? Well, hey, moron, you just sniffed it. What do you think? And no, I'm not doing that. I don't do stuff like that. There are certain things in life that make me gag. I don't want to smell things that are off. Horrible. That kind of stuff makes me, ugh, not good. Not good at all. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. We have a slew of goodies to give away today, and we will. A Scoot Henderson jersey with shorts, so you can have an actual Trailblazer uniform. So if you want to show up to a game this year with the full gear, you can do it. I have the entire box set of all the collectible glasses. And I have a Tamani Kamara jersey. I might just steal the jersey and keep that one for myself. I like Tamani. I like guys that embrace defense and want to defend. I'll never forget that game last year where he had like one of his best offensive performances of his young career. And after the game, someone asked him about that. And he said, well, it's nice, but frankly, my one-on-one defense stunk. And he was really perturbed. He didn't even take time to enjoy the offensive numbers because he was so put out with himself on the defense. I love that. Frankly, I don't care how many points I had in the first half or the fact it was a career night. My defense sucked. Okay, you're my guy. I love that type of attitude. Also, if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you probably had about 90 minutes of your heart skipping a beat where you think you might die. Lamar Jackson is reportedly fine after getting his foot stepped on in Wednesday's practice. The two-time NFL most valuable player was inadvertently knocked to the ground about 90 minutes into practice. He stayed on the field to throw a couple more passes before heading into the facility about 40 minutes early with a team doctor and trainer. Before walking off the field, it appeared that Jackson was flexing his right wrist. I'm telling you what, if I was coaching that team, if I were John Harbaugh and somebody knocked Lamar Jackson to the ground, I'm cutting them. They're going to get the pink slip at their locker. What are you doing, man? You want to ruin our entire season right now? Be careful with the prized possession. And this goes back to my whole take on camp and the preseason. There is nothing worse than devastating injuries to critical players. And Lamar Jackson is about as critical as it gets. Like the Ravens are a terrific organization. The Ravens have Derrick Henry. The Ravens have a great offensive line. The Ravens are big, stout, and physical and play good defense. The Ravens' front office is smart, and their head coach is great. But if you take Lamar Jackson away, they become mere mortals, just like all the other great teams. Buffalo without Josh Allen, garbage. The Ravens without Lamar, not good. The Chiefs without Patrick Mahomes, not a contender. You can just go down the line. That's how important quarterbacks are. But the Ravens, I'm excited to see them this year. The AFC is going to be wildly fascinating. Wildly fascinating. Like, I think the Bills have everything that you need to be able to win a Super Bowl. But the problem is they don't win playoff games that matter. And I love Josh Allen. Like, he is everything that you want in a franchise quarterback. Big, strong, mobile, beautiful, rocket arm. Great leader, great teammate. I feel like he's the perfect personality for that town and that team and Bills Mafia and the cold weather. He's great. But can they get through Kansas City or the stumbling blocks that they have found during Allen's tenure as Bills quarterback? But they're going to control the East. They are a lock to win the AFC East, obviously. I know a lot of people are high on the Patriots. I don't think they're going to make the postseason. Mike Vrabel's cool. He's going to provide direction, and they're going to be much improved. But I think playoffs, that's probably like a year away. The Dolphins and Jets stink. The AFC North, I watched that Monday Night Football game with Washington and Cincinnati. Like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, amazing. And Joe Burrow is right there at the top with Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Guys, what else do you want? He's got a computer for a brain. He sees things before they happen. Incredibly accurate with the football. Great feet in the pocket. Been to a Super Bowl. He's everything. Like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, he's everything you want in a franchise quarterback. But their defense stunk to high heaven. Well, they give up like 200 yards rushing in the first half. And then you got the front office being cheap with their best defender. I don't understand. The part that's frustrating is that there are fans and teams that get on their hands and knees and pray to the good Lord above for a quarterback like Joe Burrow. So when you get a guy like that, you should probably invest in the team around him to make sure you're doing everything within your power to capitalize on that type of talent. And the Bengals aren't doing it. They're cheap. And that's because that's the way the Brown family has run that team forever. They're penny pinchers. It would be like my Nana running the Bengals. Well, do we have a coupon for Mr. Hendrickson? I'm going to drive around to like 3 or 4 different stores to buy the same item so I can use this 30-cent coupon. Who cares if I spent $5 in gas in that whole process? I've got the coupon. That's the way the Brown family works. They probably still write checks at the grocery store and make sure they have a coupon to accompany the Quaker Oats or whatever else they're buying. You ever got stuck in the line at the grocery store behind that individual? Not only are they still writing checks, but they're using coupons. I'm not knocking coupons. It's nice. But if you're an NFL team, part of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you probably shouldn't be looking for coupons. You should probably be paying big money for Hendrickson so you can supply Joe Burrow with all the help he needs to win a championship. Or he's going to become disgruntled and maybe want to go somewhere else. And then you got a real mess on your hands. But what do I care? I'm not a Bengals fan. I just feel bad for Bengals fans. You have a great quarterback. You've got like this Ferrari at quarterback, but your owner doesn't care, so he's going to surround him with a bunch of Yugos. Thanks a lot for nothing. All right, we'll keep things rolling. You can jump on board, 503-248-0620. I got goodies coming up. And Michael Holton going to stop by at 520. You got the Rip City Drive, which is on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Michael Holton, who is a former Trailblazer and the current radio analyst of your Trailblazers, is going to join the show at 5:20. Very excited about the news today that the Trailblazers and iHeart Portland have extended their partnership, so we will continue to carry their games into the foreseeable future. Very excited about that. Big news. Very big news. And so Michael Holton will stop by at 5:20. We talked with Mr. Travis Demers, the voice of your Trailblazers, and I'd love to hear from you. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can always listen live and podcast the show via our free iHeartRadio app. And we're on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, and you can pull up our homepage there on YouTube, Rip City Radio 620, and you can watch and follow the show. Even my dad, who I think is now 77, he's on YouTube constantly. He's got the smart TV. He watches YouTube all the time, loves it. I'm a big YouTube guy. I can't get enough of it. But I want you to jump on board 503-248-0620. Don't forget, we got football coming up this weekend. The first set of games, I guess they call it week 0. So we got games coming up this weekend. The top 25 matchup will be a 9 a.m. start on ESPN, Iowa State and Kansas State. I went through the different conferences yesterday, and the Big 12 of all the conferences is the most wide open. And it's going to produce the most compelling football games if you like offense and great finishes. That type of competition in conference, because it goes 6 to 8 deep in terms of teams that can win the conference. So I really like it. It's the new Pac-12 After Dark. The SEC and the Big Ten is a little more top-heavy, where I think in the SEC you've got ultimately 2 teams, a massive titanic battle between Texas and Georgia. And in the Big Ten, I think it comes down to 3 teams. For conference supremacy, Oregon, the defending national champ Ohio State Buckeyes, and I hope it's not the Buckeyes again. What an annoying fan base they are. How arrogant can one fan base be? Ohio State's the worst. And then you've got Penn State. And Penn State I'm most intrigued by out of the conference because they're being picked by everyone to be the best team, to win the national championship. They've got the experience coming back. They made a deep run in the playoff last year. But I'm not buying them because they have not won big games with James Franklin. And the 2 playoff wins, while good, came against SMU and Boise State. So we'll see. As for Oregon State, I think they win 8 to 9 games, and we'll be back in postseason play. It always helps when you go out and spend money on a quarterback. That's really what it comes down to. And in college football, if you get the right guy and you're willing to spend the cash to bring that guy in, it can change everything. You know, college football is different than in NFL from the standpoint that one player, one dominant force can change everything. And Malik Murphy, according to the people I've talked to who have seen him at camp on a regular basis, say that it's just night and day compared to last year and what they had at that position. And he's an athlete. He can, make things happen when plays break down, but he's also very underrated in terms of arm talent and accuracy. Like, he's going to make guys around him better. He'll make young receivers better. He'll also be able to help out if you have injuries or any type of inexperience or issues up front on the offensive line. And I think the offensive line for the Beavs has been pretty healthy through camp. They've had some guys nicked up, but nothing major. But that's going to be the first game. So here's what we got coming up on Saturday. It's so good. Iowa State, Kansas State, number 22 against number 17. And right now, Kansas State favored by 3. That game's going to be over in Dublin, Ireland. 1 o'clock, Idaho State playing at UNLV. At 3:30 on Fox, Fresno State is at Kansas. At 4 o'clock, Sam Houston at Western Kentucky. And at 4:30 on CBS, Stanford at Hawaii. So we get 5 games this weekend for week 0. And then Thursday, the 28th, which, by the way, is my birthday, that's when we kick off the first full weekend of college football action. And that first game on Thursday, Boise State, which right now is ranked 25th, will take on South Florida. But the big games this weekend, or not this weekend, but the first full weekend of college football on August 30th, I mean, that's what I'm most excited about because we're going to get some big time matchups, including Texas and Ohio State. I mean, seriously, how good is that? Texas and Ohio State. But there's a bunch of games on Thursday and Friday of that first week. So on Saturday at 9 on Fox, August 30th, number 1 Texas taking on number 3 Ohio State. The Buckeyes right now favored by 2, and both schools going with new quarterbacks. Arch Manning and Julian Sayin. A little bit later in the day on that Saturday, Alabama, ranked 8th, is playing at Florida State. Montana State will take on Oregon at 1 o'clock. And then at 4:30 on ABC, we have number 9 LSU taking on number 4 Clemson. That is a monstrous game. And both those teams are contenders this year, especially Clemson coming out of the ACC. You can put the ACC in that group where there's very little intrigue, unlike the Big 12. Clemson's most likely going to dominate the conference, and they have a great shot at being the number 1 overall seed. And then the rest of the weekend, aside from some of the so-so matchups, we get Notre Dame, number 6 in the country, taking on number 10 Miami. That game's going to be on Sunday the 31st, a 4:30 kick on ABC. There is one game on Monday, Labor Day, 5 o'clock ESPN, TCU and North Carolina. And I'm going to watch that because with Bill Belichick, what I think is going to be fascinating about Bill, you know that he's going to have his players as prepared as they can possibly be for every game. And if you're a player that's got talent and you want to know what it takes to be an NFL player and get drafted, Bill Belichick is going to prepare each and every one of his players because that's what he does. And Bill Belichick, one of his greatest skills as a coach, in my opinion, is that he can take a player and he has a way of seeing where they would be best suited on the field, plugging guys into situations to where they can have success. And when it comes to the decisions between the lines on Saturdays, no one's going to outcoach Bill Belichick. You know, we always make fun of Mario Cristobal at Miami, and for good reason. He's like one of the great recruiters in the country, but when it's game time for that 60 minutes, it's almost like the guy's wearing a dumb cap. Like, hey, Mario, how can you be so good at recruiting and yet clueless when it comes to managing a game? That's not Bill Belichick. He will manage the game. He will prepare his players, and he's going to be able to get it done. The challenge for him is going to be a couple of different items. One, how does he find a way to bring in the talent that is necessary to be able to win a conference and put his team in a position to get to a playoff? Because it's North Carolina. That's where great basketball players go, not necessarily great football players. So how do they recruit and bring in the talent that's necessary to match up with teams like Clemson? And then the other issue, I think, would be the lack of one-on-one time or practice time with his players because of all the restrictions on how long you can work with guys, how long they can practice, how often they can be in pads. Like, there's so many restrictions now on what you can do with your players. That's going to be tough for a old school football coach like Bill Belichick. So how does he take less time and prepare those players? And we're not talking about NFL players. How does he take less time to prepare guys who aren't fully developed and who aren't polished at what they do? Because most of the guys that come into college football, they've got raw skills, but different than when you get guys in the NFL who have gone through high school, a full college career, and then they start their NFL career. A lot of those guys being drafted, they're a little more polished. Like, they have a good idea of how to operate and function, and then it's just a matter of fine-tuning by the coaches when they, get them in from the colleges. But Bill Belichick now, instead of working with more refined athletes in football, he's going to have to take guys who are a little more raw. He's going to have to take guys that are less experienced, and he'll have less time to work with them to get them up to speed. And the other funny thing about college football right now, back in the day when I was growing up, with the Oklahoma Sooners, Barry Switzer, You always had to worry about players maybe getting a little bit too rowdy at a party, maybe getting hit with, you know, an MIP, being at a party, being underage and drinking, or maybe one of their players going out and driving too fast, that type of nonsense. But now, like the big issue for these youngsters today, and I know you parents know this, it's the cell phone. The attention span of younger kids and college football players now is different because they're used to having a screen in front of them all times and being distracted by their phone. How does Bill Belichick adapt and adjust to that type of culture? Like, aren't you fascinated by that? Now, maybe having a girlfriend that's like 50 years younger, maybe that will help prepare him for dealing with the younger football players. You know, she can get him up to speed on the lingo and kind of what's important to them and what's not. So there you have it. I can't wait to see it. It's like Bill Belichick's one of those guys where I'm kind of tired of the grumpy act, but yet I know that's an act, and he's really a smart and terrific coach who understands the game so well. And the other thing I love about Belichick, because there's so many coaches that are bad at it, like Bill Belichick is great at all the fine details, like situational football, having guys prepared for special teams, having guys prepared for down and distance, being good in short yardage, being good on fourth downs, like all of these little details that so many coaches appear to have no clue of what's going on. Bill Belichick is not that guy. Like, he knows exactly how to handle all of those situations. So we'll see how it works recruiting-wise. But if you're a guy who's got talent and you want to get to the NFL, I could see the appeal of working with Bill Belichick. And, you know, maybe that's where, you know, kids will be challenged to make the better choice. And the better choice meaning going where I'm going to have a better chance to succeed, where I can set myself up for long-term success instead of grabbing the quick cash in an NIL deal where I'm going to wind up on a team with worse coaching, a situation that may not be the best for me, all because I want the quick money. You know, maybe if you take a little less money but go to a situation that's going to better prepare you for what's next, you know, maybe these kids, as they, you know, hear about some of these experiences from other guys, maybe they learn how to do that. So there you have it. We'll see what it looks like with Bill Belichick on the first Labor Day, TCU in North Carolina. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive. When we come back, I've got a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops, and I think I'll give away one of my Trailblazer items. I've got a Scoot Henderson jersey and shorts, so you can get suited up for the NBA game. I have a Tamani Kamara jersey and the complete set of the collectible glasses that they gave away last year with Scoot, Shaden, and Donovan Clingan, and the Rip City Runs Deep glass. I've got that as well. I'll give away one of those items along with the 4-pack of tickets for the Hops. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, nice little Genesis remake. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can reach out to me on social at Chad and Rip City. And of course, you can check us out on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. And when you do, make sure you subscribe and like the page. All right, we have Hops Ticket Tuesday, which is going to be Wednesday today. And we've got a pair of tickets to see the Hops coming up on August 29th, which is going to be a week from Friday at Hillsborough Ballpark. So you're going to have a good time with us sitting in the Rip City Radio row. So if you'd like a pair of tickets for the Hops, fire away right now. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. You'll get a pair of tickets in the Rip City Radio row coming up for Friday, August 29th. Call now. 503-248-0620. And as I mentioned before, the best part about going out there right now, one, the weather is perfect for baseball. The warm temperatures might give you a desire to have a cold beverage, which would be very nice. But also you can check out the work that's being done on that brand new stadium, which is beautiful, which is going to be completed, I think, in December. So a lot of good things going on with the Hops, and props to KL and his team for what they've been able to accomplish. So call now, 503-248-0620. We also have other goodies to give away, and this goes back to the announcement today that our partnership with the Portland Trail Blazers is continuing thanks to a new deal, a multi-year deal, and I'm thrilled. Of all the things I've been a part of in radio, this partnership and the work that's been put into it by both sides over the last 18 months, this has been some of the most rewarding work that I've been a part of. And so I'm thrilled to be a partner with the Trailblazers. It's my team. I love being a part of the broadcast, and I enjoy more than anything being able to share in the conversation about this team throughout the course of the year. It's great. So what I've got, and this is a big thanks to Ryan Flaherty, Aaron Grossman. I swung by Motor Center yesterday and picked up the items. They handed me a few different items to give away to celebrate the partnership. So I've got a Scoot Henderson jersey and shorts, game jersey and shorts. I have a Tamani Kamara jersey, and I've also got the entire 4-pack of Blazers collectible glasses. And that includes Shaden Sharp, Donovan Clingan, and the Scoot Henderson glass, and also the Rip City Runs Deep glass, which was the last one that was handed out of the 4. So we're going to give that away here in just a moment. And we're going to give away the other 2 items before the end of the show today. So we'll do that here quickly, but that's what's going on. We're celebrating. It's a day of celebration. I'm pretty excited about it. Daughter got her learner's permit today. That should be an experience because I'll be the one who is shouldering the majority of practice driving. And I think it'll probably work out better that way. I just remember when I was younger, and maybe some of you can relate to this, that when I got my learner's permit, I did 99.9% of my practice driving with my dad in the car. My dad is like the perfect person to have in those type of situations. He doesn't speak much. He's always calm. Very little emotion that I've ever seen from my dad ever. Like he's always even keeled. So that's very helpful when you're a little bit nervous and you're trying to learn how to drive. Mom is a little more fiery. Shares her opinion a lot. Likes to correct her sons a lot. You know, like moms do. So she had no problem yelling at me or telling me I needed to do this or do that. Too much going on, though. Too much information. Dad was much more relaxed. So I'm going to handle that process with my daughter. But we got that handled today. The insurance part, that's very annoying and problematic. But it is what it is. We all have to deal with it, right? So there you have it. That's what's going on. And we're ready for football season. Ready for football season. I can't wait. Probably the first really big game locally that I can't wait to watch is that Oregon-Penn State game. And I'm close to picking Oregon in that game because I think they have what it takes to go into Penn State and get the win. The Nittany Lions regardless of what happens in their two big games against Oregon and Ohio State, they'll be a playoff team. There's no doubt. But I think Oregon is going to be much better than what people think. One, because I think the pairing of Dante Moore and Will Stein is going to be perfect. Like, I really think Will Stein's going to be able to unleash his offense. And I think the Ducks' defense, particularly on the defensive front with their tackles, they're going to be more stout against the run. They'll continue to get pressure on the quarterback. And I think defensively, we're really going to start to see what Dan Lanning is looking to accomplish with this group. Very impressed with the recruiting, the work he's done in the portal, and the type of athletes he's getting in there. I mean, he's really taking it up a notch. Big fan of Dan Lanning. Love his energy, love his staff, and really like the way he's embraced technology. And they're relentless. You talk to anyone around the program, they are always recruiting. They're always out. They're always talking to guys. They're always scouring the country. And his willingness to be able to go across the country and get access to players that you wouldn't have thought were possible before, it's impressive. Big fan of Dan Lanning. All right, we'll go to the phones in just a moment, but I want to give away one of our Trailblazer items to celebrate the news about the partnership. I'm going to give away the collectible glasses first. You get all 4 of last year's collectible glasses in a cute little box with Scoot Henderson, Donovan Clingan, Shaden Sharp, and the Rip City Runs Deep glass. So if you would like this, we'll take caller number 10 right now. If you weren't able to get the glasses, if you would like the collectible glasses, we'll take the 10th caller right now. I want to hear from a Blazers fan. 503-248-0620. 10th caller right now gets the 4-pack of Trailblazer collectible glasses. 503-248-0620. Call now, 503-248-0620. 10th caller will get the 4-pack of glasses. And there you go. You guys have speed dial or quick fingers. I like it. All right, 503-248-0620. Let's go out to the phones. And if you want to jump on board, I'm perfectly okay with that. Whatever you want to talk about is fine by me. Let's go out to Rick in Portland. Hey, Rick, I appreciate the phone call, my friend. What's going on?
Hey, Chad. I don't know if you remember me. This is Rick and Zach Green. Remember Zach?
Of course I do. I know who you are. Yes.
I haven't talked to you for a while. Just wanted to say hi, and I can't wait till the new season with the new center we got for the backup center. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Think about him?
Well, I think he's terrific.
Think about him?
Well, here's what I think about young Hansen. One, I respect the Trailblazers' efforts and the lengthy period that they scouted him to discover him. What I noticed or what I saw down at Summer League was the moment wasn't too big for him. I really like his anticipatory passing and his overall feel for the game. And for a guy of his size, I thought he moved very well. So I was impressed with what I saw in that limited Summer League action.
Yeah, exactly. I did Summer League last year, but I've seen his footwork and his passing. Those two things, people are going to be blown away. He's only 20. I think he's going to be something pretty good in a couple of years.
Now, is that what you're most excited about? Is it young Hansen, or what aspect of the team are you looking forward to the most?
Well, to be honest with you, you'll probably laugh at me, but you know what I wish I could have done if you have the power is I have season tickets up in the nosebleed 314 that I've donated before. I'd sure love you to have some clout and get some new cup holders up there, because we can't even fit our drinks we buy there in the cup holders. How's that?
No, that understands. So they do have cup holders, but the bigger drinks don't fit in the cup holder?
Yeah, you pay the money. I don't mind paying the money for the souvenir cup for my son, Zach. But when you get it and you go pay $12 and you bring it down to your seat, it won't even fit in the hold. It won't even fit in your seat. And they said they have no plans to change those. And so that's why I'm excited about the new owner if he takes over. I'm hoping they'll redo the whole Moda Center. I don't think we need a new building. I think if we gutted it, I think the building's still a pretty beautiful building, but I don't know what your thought is on it, but that's what my thought is.
Well, my thought is if you can get an owner that can put together the financing to get a new arena, I'd love a new arena. That's my thought on that.
Well, I would too. Yeah, I mean, I would, but I'm just saying worst case scenario, I think rebuilding the Moda Center would be, good too. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no doubt. I appreciate the phone call, Rick. No, dude, I'm all about a new arena. I look at things maybe differently than some people do, or maybe a lot of people in Multnomah County. I'm a big believer in public access to sports, meaning I think professional sports do great things for your community. That's why I want Major League Baseball. I want the NBA to be here. And I'm willing to pay more in taxes to be able to make sure that an arena can be built to keep the team here forever. A lot of people don't want more taxes. I would be willing to pay more taxes for a brand new arena. Now, hopefully, with this owner, and you're talking about a billionaire, someone that has experience with real estate, that knows people, they've got capital, maybe they can put together a private deal to get something done. But a new arena would be amazing. The Motor Center has been around for 30 years. I mean, Motor Center still holds up really well, but if you've been to a new arena, you're like, oh, okay, this is what it's all about. Just like a brand new football stadium. It's awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. So we'll see what happens. The biggest thing for me would be, finding a way to put the arena in a spot to where you can build up the area around it with restaurants, entertainment, shopping, maybe some residential, the whole shebang like we see in Atlanta at the Battery and some of these other spots. The question is, where would you do that here in Portland? Now, in regard to the cup holders up in the 300 level, I think you said 314. Look, all I know is that the cup holders are confusing to me. I was at Dodger Stadium earlier this summer in June. And when you sit down, the cup holders, they're like offset. So they're not directly in front of you. They're like off to the left. And I had this lady that was putting her drink in my drink holder, and I was stuck without a drink holder because they were all jacked up. I just wish they had it set up to where it was very easy to see, because I'm one of those people where I try to avoid confrontation for the most part, and I didn't have the heart to tell this lady that she was wrong. And that sounds weird if I'm like, hey, can you move your drink so I have a place to put my drink? Or, hey, can you tell that person to move his drink down to his spot so we can all shuffle down and be able to have a spot for our drink? But you're right, some of the souvenir cups, I always get the souvenir cup because it's like $1.50 more, but you get more beverage. Because when you buy, like, I'm a Diet Coke guy. I know when I get a Diet Coke that I'm getting robbed. But you just understand that. But at certain places where it's warm, it's like I need the Diet Coke. But yeah, the souvenir cups don't fit. I hadn't even thought about that. But isn't that amazing? Like, Rick wants bigger drink cup holders up in the 300 level. Everyone's got their thing that they just want, things that irritate them, things that they don't understand. But that would make sense. If you're going to sell this size cup, then shouldn't your drink holder be big enough to fit all of the cup sizes? Good thought, Rick. I appreciate that. All right, Paul won the glasses. All right, Paul. Good job, my man. You got the 4 set of collectible glasses.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chad.
All right. So what are you most excited about this season with the Blazers in terms of what you're going to see? Is it young Hansen? Is it Drew Holiday? Is it the young guys that we saw last year continue to progress?
I think I want to see how the whole team as a whole is going to do. They are progressing in the right direction.
That's nice.
It's great to see the management's finally realizing we needed a retool, and Drew Holiday is going to come in. He's going to provide some great support to these young guys, especially the point guards and Scoot. So it's a great thing. I'm looking forward to opening night. It's going to be an awesome event, I'm sure.
Now, Paul, I was told that you have a collection of glasses. How many glasses do you have?
I only have 4 others. They're from the 77, 78 championship season when they won in 77, and then they gave the glasses out in 78.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Now, is that like Bill Walton and Maurice Lucas? What do the glasses look like? I haven't seen those before.
Yeah, I have Mo. And I have Terry. Well, let's see. I have Mo, and I have Bill Walton. Those were the only 2 I got from that year because I was limited. But then I got Clyde, Terry. I got Jerome. I got Duck. So yeah, it'll go a nice. I've got one area in my house that's like a big bookshelf of different themes, and the Blazers is right in the center.
That's great. A listener of mine, Mark, on the east side. He stopped by one night and gave me the entire set of Dairy Queen glasses, and so I've got those at home, and I love them.
They're awesome. Yep, and they're thick glass. They don't break. They haven't faded. Yeah. I used 2 of them once, I think, but other than that, they sit on the shelf, collect dust.
Yeah, that's where they should be. Well, Paul, man, hey, congratulations, my friend. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your summer. And basketball is right around the corner.
Thank you, Chad. You have a great show.
There you go. I appreciate that. I will have a great show, Paul. Thank you. Yeah, I love collectible items. I've got all the glasses, thanks to Mark on the east side. But it would appear to me that collectibles were just better when I was younger. Like even the toys in the Happy Meal that you would get at McDonald's, amazing. It was one of my favorite things to do when I was younger. Probably when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, somewhere in that area. My cousin Darren, who I idolized when I was younger, big sports fan. He's really smart. He's got thousands and thousands of baseball cards. He could open up his own shop if he wanted to. He's a comic book collector. He's got a small fortune in things he's collected over the years. Well, he worked at McDonald's when he was still in high school. And so when we were over at his house in Denver, he would take me over to the McDonald's where he worked, and he would take me in to give me hotcakes. And then he would always have toys that he saved, from different Happy Meal items, and he would give them to me. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. They're great collectibles. Even the toys that they would put in the bottom of your cereal box back then were better. Like I was trying to explain to my daughter the type of playground items that we had when I was in school. Dude, I was talking about this with someone yesterday on the golf course. Like the things that used to be okay when we were younger, like if you tried to run it back now, people would think you were crazy. Like I was explaining to this guy that I got spanked with a paddle in the school out in the hallway with the classroom doors open by the principal. Now, I deserved it. I was making unfortunate noises during a spelling test with my armpit. I thought it was a good idea. It turned out to be a bad idea. He spanked me, like hard, and I was crying. And the best part is my parents did not threaten a lawsuit. My dad apologized for my behavior and me being a buffoon, and then he promised to deliver more punishment to me when I got home, and he did. He said I shamed his name. So it's pretty funny. I was only in second grade, but I got hammered. That would never fly in today's world. But we had this thing called the jungle gym, and everyone would load up on one side, and the thing would like tilt. And so you'd have like one kid hanging on for dear life, like 10 or 12 feet up in the air. And inevitably, we would just stay on one side until he lost his grip. We had one guy named Keith who broke his arm on that bad boy. I got ejected off the merry-go-round once and skinned up my knees. That's pretty funny. They don't have that kind of stuff anymore. We never wore a helmet when we were riding our bikes either. We weren't even concerned about our domes. The only thing we cared about was like, dude, don't rack your package on that little crossbar. That's the only thing we cared about. I mean, nothing hurt more than that. Your foot slips out the pedal and you crack yourself. Like you hear your buddy like, ah. You know exactly what happened. And I don't know what it is about being a guy, but for some reason, when someone else gets blasted in the package, it's funny. When it happens to you, it's not so much, but it is funny when you see one of your buddies do it. Yeah, the good old days. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Michael Holton going to stop by at 5:20. Marshall Burgess going to swing by at 5 for a quick message. The big boss. Maybe he's going to finally fire me. It's been well-deserved for many years. I don't know. All right, appreciate your time. Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620, Rip City Radio. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. Duke, the UPS driver, he said, so you were 3 days away from having to wait another year to start kindergarten. Who the heck would wear the shirt and jersey together? That's kind of ridiculous, right? I don't know. And people wear a lot of different things to games. I don't know if I've seen anyone wear a full basketball giddy-up to a game. Like, I don't recall seeing that off the top of my head. Obviously, people wear jerseys all the time. But is that worse than a guy that goes to a game with, like, his chest and face painted at a football game? Or guys with incredible pork bellies going shirtless at a game? Or I always wondered, like, the Broncos had that guy called Barrel Man. He would roam the stands and get fans to cheer, and all he wore was a barrel. I don't know what was inside the barrel, but I know he was shirtless. So I always wanted to, I was always curious about if he was naked or not. I don't know. I never saw inside the barrel. All I'm trying to say, Duke, is that there are weirder things that people wear to games and the way they get up than wearing a full-on basketball uniform. I would have worn a full-on uniform to a game when I was younger. He also says that Penn State's going to suck. They lost two big weapons, their tight end and their defensive end. Well, the tight end was great. The defensive end is turning heads at Giants camp. The guy's a stud. He thinks that Penn State's going to struggle. They did lose two big weapons, two big stars, but they still have the best offensive line in the country, and they've got one of the better quarterbacks in the country. And they're very deep at running back. Let's go out to the phones. Mary Lou's got a thought on Moda Center. And Mary Lou, welcome to the Rip City Drive. What are your thoughts on Moda Center?
Thank you, Chad. It's great to talk to you. I'm a longtime listener and major fan of the Blazers, and I'm really excited this coming year, too. It seems like 2 years took forever, to get to this point. But
hey, Mary Lou,
anyway,
what'd you think about young Hansen down at Summer League?
Oh, I thought he was awesome. I loved his moves. Really nice hip movement. You know what I'm saying? He just looked like he belonged out there. It was really cool.
Yeah, I'm with you on that because
I'm excited about it.
I think the movement is what I was impressed with the most because when I saw how big he was, after they drafted him, I thought, how is a guy like that going to be able to move? But he moved very well.
He did. He was really very, very impressive. I can't wait. I just can't wait for this season.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right.
So it'll all be good.
So your thoughts on Moda?
Well, here's my thought. This is just kind of a wild one. But, Phil Knight just gave $2 billion over to OHSU. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he would want to give that kind of money to the city and let that Moda Center be renovated in his name and change the name of it to, the Phil Knight Center.
Well, we should call him and suggest that he donate the money to make sure that the arena is top notch. I think it's a great idea.
And he loves the city of Portland. I personally, I live very close to Moda. My kids and I are season ticket holders. We love going to the games, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want it moving out of Portland. That's a selfish thing, okay?
Well, no.
But I don't think he would want to move it. And he's from, I think Hood is like that Albina neighborhood. So Moda is just right on the outskirts of that. And I just think that'd be an awesome, like I said, I think that would be his legacy to the city, his gift to the city. Give us however much. I don't even have any idea what it would cost to renovate the place. But he's got the money, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And we've all helped support that.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point. If there were to be a new arena, my guess would be, based on the people I've talked to, it would likely move outside of the city proper and wind up in Beaverton or Wilsonville or Hillsborough,
Mm-hmm.
which would be difficult or more difficult for some people to get to.
No, and, I'm not a young person, so I love being able to hop on the streetcar and get off at Moda there. It's really easy for me.
It is incredibly convenient to have the MAX lines all arrive at that spot. Mm-hmm. It's very nice.
Yep, and buses. I mean, however you make your choice, and it takes you there. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I just thought that would be something to put in the hopper.
Well, what's great?
I don't know how to get a hold of Phil, but maybe we'll do that, huh?
Well, I tell you what, you and I share we share the same talent. I'm very good at telling other people how they should spend their money. I'm great at it. I'm good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well,
I
Mary
enjoy
Lou,
listening to you.
Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
I don't want to drown either. I don't want to die from drowning. I'm with you on that one.
Gosh,
you said that a couple of weeks ago.
I love people.
I got to call right now and talk to him.
Yeah, do it. Do it. Yeah. No, I'm telling you what, I love these people. They get in the, I just saw this story. This guy, this surfer had his, surfboard chopped in half by a big great white.
Yeah.
I don't know what's down there, and don't act like you do either. It's crazy.
Oh my God. That was, oh geez. Anyway. All righty. Well, those are my thoughts, Chad. I'll call again sometime, and once the season kind of gets rolling.
Okay, because I want to get your early season thoughts after they play a few games.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go to preseason games too, and I usually don't, but I'm going to because I want to see who's out there.
And Hodson will play a lot in preseason. He's going to play a lot. The big guy.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. I just can't wait. Can't wait. Okay. Well, listen. You take care. Good talking to you.
All right. Take care. That's Mary Lou. That's Mary Lou. Yeah, the location of Moda is very convenient because it's centrally located. Too bad I-5 is a disaster right around the Coliseum exit. And pretty much traffic everywhere now is bad. I can't even get into town anymore without getting punked. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. And today was one of those days where I was like a salmon working upstream from the moment I got up until the time I arrived at the station. And I've learned I don't want to have an aneurysm. And so I just accepted my fate. It's like, look, you're punked. Just go with the flow, brother. Go with the flow. I don't want to drown. That's the thought. Like, there's just certain ways you don't want to go. Travis Demers told me he doesn't want to become another animal's poop. So in other words, he doesn't want to be eaten by an animal. I don't want to drown. Look, I'm not a scaredy cat. Like, I've went skydiving, for crying out loud. I just have no, like, scuba diving is not my thing. It's not my thing. I don't want to do it. I don't need to do it. Swimming, like, I can swim, but whatever. Everyone's got their thing. I don't want to drown. Not a big fan of snakes either. That's all. A plane crash is number one. Of the top 3 ways I don't want to die, plane crash, 1. A lot of fear involved in that before you go away. Drowning, and I don't know what number 3 is. Yeah, I'll think of number 3. All right, Michael Holton going to join us to celebrate the partnership news at 5:20. And I've got more gifts to give away. I've got the entire package of Scoot Henderson jersey and shorts, and a Tamani Kamara jersey. We'll give away another item coming up next. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, this is a very underrated Boz Scaggs song. It's one of my favorites. And I think the play time on it is less than 3 minutes. It's like 2 minutes and like 50 seconds of greatness. It's over now. All right, Sean in Damascus has chimed in. He said, oh no, bring on some gray hairs, teenage driving. I got a haircut yesterday, got the lettuce tightened up, and it looked like snow on the ground. It's amazing how much gray I've got coming in on the sides. When my stylist takes care of my hair, it's like a, it's like a change. It's like I look younger. It's awesome. He also says, I have a Blazer clock shaped like a backboard my aunt got me for Christmas in 1978. It's amazing. I'll send you a picture of it sometime. You should do that, my friend. You should do it. Love that. Also, from the 732, hey, Chad, do you remember the Burger King cups with all the college players on it? I do. My old man helped originate that idea at Sports Illustrated. He also says, I'm calling it now. Scattaboo is going to be my RB1 by Game 3. Cam Scattaboo is one of my favorite college football players of all time. Drafted by the Giants from Arizona State. He is Mr. Football. He was great the last 2 years at Arizona State, getting a chance to play for Kenny Dillingham. He's got a hamstring injury, which is holding him back right now. But I'm telling you, keep an eye on him. Football players like that, they just find a way of making plays. And, there are a lot of players. We've seen this throughout the course of time. Guys who don't measure up. They don't have the speed or maybe the measurables that a lot of the prototypical, football players do. But I think what happens is that you get some players in game situations because of how hard they play, their determination, their desire, their football smarts, that they always make a difference, and they always start popping up, and you're like, wow, I didn't see that. He's a playmaker. Cam Scattaboo will make a difference for the Giants. I wanted the Broncos to draft him bad. I would have bought a Cam Scattaboo Bronco jersey. I love watching the guy. And I think Jackson Dart looking pretty good at camp and in preseason. I didn't think much of Jackson Dart. I saw him play live a couple times in college, but he looks pretty good. And the best part for him, and we talk about guys getting set up for success, Brian Daboll is a terrific quarterback coach. He's the guy, if you want to go back, and you Bills fans know this, Daboll was the one who worked with Josh Allen to help improve his accuracy. Josh Allen was a raw talent when he jumped in the NFL. But with the work of Daboll, he was able to improve his accuracy. And now look at Josh Allen. Yeah, he still gets a little wild hair once in a while. He'll take chances, but that happens when you have a cannon for an arm. You're like, I can make any throw on the field. But that's Brian Daboll. And so Jackson Dart's very fortunate to start his career out and work with a guy like Daboll who can be such a big difference maker. Okay. Let's give away another Trailblazer item, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers, to celebrate the news about the partnership and the extension as we continue to broadcast Blazer games, and what a terrific partner they are. It's awesome. I think we'll do the Scoot Henderson package right now. And Duke, the UPS driver, thinks it would be a little bit crazy to wear both shorts and jersey to a game, but I'm saying that you should probably do it. Just pick a game this year, go to the game, and wear the entire Scoot package. And who cares what anyone else thinks? It's like, what do you care? You can go Mike Dick on them. Hey, excuse me, why are you wearing shorts and a jersey? Because I felt like it. What do you care? It's a great thing. Mike Dick is amazing. So you should do it. So we'll give it away right now. And I think we'll go with caller 11. So if you'd like a Scoot Henderson jersey and game shorts, the entire package, call now, 503-248-0620. Caller 11 will get a Scoot Henderson jersey and shorts, courtesy of the Portland Trailblazers. Call now, 503-248-0620. And we will give away the Tamani Kamara jersey next segment. So call now. You want a Scoot jersey with game shorts? Of course you do. 503-248-0620. Caller 11. And that did not take long. So a big thanks to the Trailblazers for supplying us with the gear. And next segment, I'll give away a Tamani Kamara jersey, and we're going to talk with Michael Holton. It's that simple. I told you I try to be a man of the people. I have goodies I want to give away to you. But I did. I swung by Motor Center yesterday. Aaron Grossman walked out and delivered me as I was illegally parked right there at 1 Center Court and Ramsey Way. Got the gear, and now we're going to send it out to you. 503-248-0620 for Scoot Henderson jersey and shorts. You know, I didn't really have shorts or certain pants I wore. I just wore the same thing. I had an Elway jersey that my Nana got me, and I wore that when I would go to Bronco games when I was younger. I've kind of grown out of the jersey phase, mostly because they're hot and uncomfortable. That's all. For football, that is. I like to keep it light and comfortable now. But when I was younger, I was all about the jersey. I felt like I had to wear the certain jersey while viewing a game or being at the game or my team was going to lose. I've got sports superstition just like all of you do. And I'm sure none of it makes a difference. But when your team goes on a roll, just like the athletes, I'm like, I'm not changing this up. I'm not going to jinx my team. Why would I do that? Kidding me? It's great that football's right around the corner, though. There's so many big games coming up. College football and the NFL. I can't wait. I am thrilled to see how it all plays out. So Coach Schottenheimer expects Parsons for the opener for the Cowboys. And I think the Cowboys are going to be a mess, too. I like Coach Schottenheimer. I think he's a good dude. And everyone's betting against him, so I'd like to see him have success. But I think the Cowboys have too many holes defensively. And with Dak Prescott, he's a good player. I like Dak. I like his leadership. I like the way he handles himself. But I don't think he's got enough help around him for the Cowboys to be a legit threat. And the problem is in that division, Washington is on an upward trajectory. The Eagles are arguably the best team in football coming off their Super Bowl win. And you've got the Giants who are quietly putting together a very good roster. The big question mark, of course, is quarterback. But I like the way they're playing it. Unlike the Colts, who were not patient with Anthony Richardson, you know, the Giants are not going to force Jackson Dart out there on the field. They got Russ. So they can take their time and allow Jackson Dart an opportunity to grow and get his feet under him before you throw him to the fire. And I think that's the best way to handle it. You know, some guys are different. Some guys are prepared or maybe have the ability to do it. But if not, be patient through the process so these guys have a chance to develop and get confidence. Because you can destroy a guy. You put him out there in the field and he's not ready. He gets overwhelmed. I mean, that can cause big-time damage. Wow, it did happen. The Broncos have traded wide receiver Devon Vele to the Saints for 2 draft picks. The Saints have added to their receiver room ahead of the regular season opener, acquiring Devon Vele in a trade with the Broncos. In return, Denver receives a 2026 fourth-round pick and a 2027 seventh-round selection. Vele was a seventh-round pick of the Broncos in 2024. The 27-year-old appeared in 13 games, 7 starts, 41 receptions, 475 yards. Both third on the team among its receivers and 3 touchdowns. Wow. Well, what that tells you right there is that the Broncos are deep at receiver. Vele was slotted to be like the second or third guy, but they drafted Pat Bryant, and Troy Franklin from Oregon is playing really good football. So Bryant, Franklin, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., and Trent Sherfield Jr., or Sr. That's something I don't understand. So Trent Sherfield Sr., I noticed this in the game when I was watching against Arizona. He's out there playing on the field. How can he be a senior? Wouldn't his dad be senior? Or maybe his dad's not named Trent. I don't know how that works. It's confusing to me. Well, this is a good sign. Wow, they traded Vele. All right, so the Broncos are loaded at receiver. So this is going to be the question for the Broncos, who absolutely are going to be a factor this year in the NFL. One, you've got to find a way to get through Kansas City. The Chargers are going to be super legit. But the Broncos, Bo Nix going into year number 2. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. Their defense is going to be awesome. And they led the NFL in sacks last year. Really, I think the big question mark is going to be the youth at receiver. They got Evan Ingram at tight end to bring experience. He's going to be big time. Youth at receiver, and they still have to prove they can run the football. They've changed their schemes. They're going to that wide zone scheme. So that's been an adjustment for the offensive line. But Sean Payton has got to find a way to get more out of his running backs. That will take some pressure off of Bo. That can keep him under center. Then you can start utilizing play action. I still lean Kansas City to win the division, although I think the Broncos are definitely moving in the right direction. Surprising. I had just seen a report today the Broncos weren't going to trade Vele. Wow. And the 49ers, Demarcus Robinson suspended 3 games. And that's from the fallout from a misdemeanor DUI charge. Shanahan revealed on KMBR that Robinson has indeed been suspended for the first 3 weeks, saying, D-Rob, we're not going to have him through the first 3 weeks. You can always appeal it, so we'll hope for the best on that, but that's what we're planning for. Robinson was arrested in November in Los Angeles while a member of the Rams and pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor DUI. The Niners signed Robinson to a 2-year, $9.5 million deal in free agency. They acknowledged the likelihood that he would have to sit out for violating the league's conduct policy. Yikers. And that's going to be the big question for the 49ers. They've got youth in certain spots. They've been nicked up at receiver. How are they going to be defensively? And more importantly, is Brock Purdy ready to, raise the level of play of the guys around him? My guess would be no. Like, Brock Purdy's a good player, but he's not a tier 1 elite quarterback that can raise the level of guys around him. The other player I like on the 49ers, Ricky Pearsall, the guy that got shot last year. He played, I saw him play live multiple times with Arizona State before he transferred, I think it was Florida. That's a big-time receiver right there. Good hands, good route runner. He'll be good for Purdy because he'll be in the right position, providing an easy target. All right, we'll come back. We're going to give away the Tamani Kamara jersey, and we're going to talk with Michael Holton. Holton on Hoops. I appreciate your time. You can reach out to me on social at Chad and Rip City on X. 503-248-0620 is the number here. And you can always listen live and podcast on our free iHeartRadio app. On YouTube, just pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. We stream all of our local shows live, and you can find old shows there as well. 503-248-0620. Michael Holton's coming up next, and we'll give away the Tamani Kamara jersey. You just have to listen to me for your chance to win. All right, we're celebrating the news of our partnership with the Trailblazers being extended into the foreseeable future. I'm going to give away a Tamani Kamara jersey coming up here in a few minutes. But joining us right now is the man behind the mic, who is your color analyst for Trailblazer games, Michael Holton. Holton on Hoops, he's back. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, let's not get bored with success. We re-upped the deal. Let's keep it going.
I'm so excited. By the way, I didn't realize that you and I both have August birthdays. My birthday's coming up next week, but I saw that you went out and had a great dinner to celebrate your birthday. I was happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. August is a big month. It's my birthday. My wife and I's 40th wedding anniversary is in August. And so we are actually heading out of town this weekend to Vegas to see Bruno Mars. So August is a big month.
What day is your anniversary on?
It is on the 10th. We were married August 10th, 1985.
Well, congratulations, man. 40 years. That's something to celebrate, baby.
Yeah, she still loves me, too. So that says a lot about her patience and resolve.
Well, you know what I've learned, and I'm sure you've learned this, too, because you've run your own business. You've been a part of the Trailblazers now for quite some time. But what I've learned over the course of time that I've been doing this, Michael, is that the people you have a chance to work with and the partnerships and relationships that you create are critical to your success. And I was very happy to see this process come to fruition, and we get a chance to continue to work with the Trailblazers and continue to bring the games and the content and be the one-stop place for Blazer fans to catch the game. So I'm very excited. And the best part is you're part of that, and you're on the radio waves with the games, man. It's fun.
Yeah, Chad, continuity is so important in relationships in life, but particularly in business and the type of business that we're in. Travis and I have been together, I think, 7+ years now. And, you've been a part of the team for a few years, and you and Travis have worked together. I mean, you go on and on about, how we have a sense of connection. But then we come together to broadcast these games, and it's like family, and it's fun. And from all indications, we do a reasonable job, and people understand the product, and we give people the reason to be excited. And this time of year is always exciting to me. My wife says to me, "Why do you start eating good and training in August?" I said, "I'm getting ready for the season."
Did you ever think when you were younger that you would be broadcasting NBA games? Did you ever foresee that, or was it something you had an interest in?
No, I had an interest in broadcasting. I took a class at UCLA, sports communication, my freshman year, and I was very interested and exciting about broadcasting and television and content. But, I was in class with people that would become Academy Award-winning film producers. I wasn't quite as serious as they were, so I didn't understand the medium.
A lot of players now, I think, maybe on some level are a little more savvy about, getting an idea of what they want to do when their playing career is over. When did you start considering what you wanted to do after basketball? Because basketball was such a big part of your life for a long period of time.
Yeah, I was conflicted when I got injured at the end of my career in Charlotte, because my mom had always told me you're more than a basketball player and don't ever see yourself in a small package. Always see the biggest version of yourself. But when I got injured in Charlotte, I produced a segment for the weekly Hornets magazine show on injured players. And I interviewed the team doctor, and I put the music to it, and I did the graphics, and I wrote the script. And I was amazed at how much work went into a 2-minute segment, but I was fascinated. I was bit by the bug. So I think I knew then that I had a strong interest.
How athletic was Rex Chapman back in his days at Charlotte?
Rex Chapman was extremely athletic, and the only thing his athleticism was second to was his confidence. Rex Chapman always believed the next shot was going. I'd never played with anybody that had an unshakable confidence.
Gosh, I love that so much. There's been a lot of news with the Trailblazers this summer. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. Well, let's start with Young Hansen, the rookie center from China. What were your impressions on him throughout the course of Summer League?
I just thought he had the it. Sometimes you see a player and you just go, okay, he's got the it.
Yeah.
And then we can spend a whole hour talking about what the it is. He just had that feel for the game. He made his teammates better. He was thinking one play ahead. He was getting guys to cut and work hard. Whenever you see a player with the ball that excites others to move, they have the it, right? They make their teammates better. And most coaches will say that's one of the priorities. You should be able to make your teammates better. And I thought I saw that in him immediately. Then I saw the physicality. Then I saw the footwork. So there's a lot of potential in what he brings to the table.
How about Dame coming back? I did not see that coming, and when I got the news, I was like, oh, my.
Yeah, I just, I'm just kind of pinching myself because, I've had a chance to broadcast every game he's played, or at least every game he played as a Blazer. And so his leadership is second to none in pro sports. And so I'm just fascinated that this team at this point in time, with a rebuilding roster with young rising stars and Tamani Kamara and Denny and Scoot and Shaden, to have that leadership. And then, don't sleep on Drew Holiday and his Olympic gold and his NBA championship. So I just think that this team has the combination of leadership and youth.
I thought it was great to hear both Dame and Joe Cronin talk about the process. There were some, difficult times when the trade originally went down involving Milwaukee, but they were able to, put the past behind them and move forward. And I like to see guys who can come together and find common ground and be able to put things behind them and move forward. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, and I like the transparency. NBA careers, few guys, play their entire career for one team. And I thought for the most part, Dame was trying to do that. And the team and Dame just got to this place where, it was awkward. And awkward is awkward in relationships. And I thought, the separation was handled as best it could be handled. But then I thought what do you call it when you reunite? I guess what's plural for reunite?
Reunited.
I don't know. But reunited, it feels so fine, right?
Yes.
So when Dame came back, I thought both sides were transparent about the separation and about coming back together without there being any residue or resentment.
See, I know the interview is getting good when you start singing Peaches and Herb on the show, man. That's good. We need more of that.
Come on, man. I had to drop that. All of a sudden, I was hearing the music and I couldn't come up with the words.
That's so great. You mentioned Drew Holiday. I saw his introductory press conference, and I've admired him from afar for quite some time. But you're right. He is a great leader, but it's amazing what he can still do defensively. And not only that, but he can make an impact without the ball in his hands, man. That's very valuable for this club.
Yeah, the low usage in terms of not having to have the ball to be impactful offensively. Defensively, he's a strong safety. He just can anchor your defense. He can be point of attack. He can rotate. He can guard bigger guys. And then he's a guy that his leadership can be nonverbal. He doesn't have to be a voice in the locker room. He doesn't have to be that type of leader. And guys that lead by example, that have that type of pedigree, there's something about that younger guys lean into in a unique way, because they want to ask, they want to watch your workout, they want to understand the journey of somebody like Drew Holiday.
Yeah, I was impressed, man. What a class guy he is. And, they talk a lot about internal development. I'm excited to see what Tumani and Denny, Scoot, Shaden, and Klingon look like with, that full off season, a chance to work and go through camp as they get ready for another year.
Yeah, and I think that what I see when I look at this roster and this season, Chauncey from day one said he wanted a team constructed like this. Guys that were committed on both ends, guys that understood the importance of defense, and guys that understood the importance of being unselfish offensively. And this roster reflects that. So I think it's going to be an exciting season.
Hey, what was the worst arena that you played in during your playing days? Was it the LA Sports Arena or was it something else? The Boston Garden?
It was the Madhouse on McDowell when I was a Phoenix Sun. I always felt like that we were just holding down the fort until the circus came back to town.
Oh, that's true. Hey, did they have the gorilla as the mascot back then when he would do all his crazy stunts? Because that was fun to watch.
Come on. No, they had the gorilla, and the gorilla was so popular. I started 59 games, and the gorilla made more money.
That's legit true, too, isn't it? It's legit.
Yes, and then the gorilla held out. I'm like, wait a minute, the gorilla didn't score. He didn't assist anybody. But that's when I started looking at mascots differently. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a line of work people need to take more serious.
No, that's so good. All right, what is your go-to when you go to Morton Steakhouse?
I'm a filet mignon, center cut, medium plus guy. And you can put anything else on the plate. You want to put a baked potato, you want to put some asparagus, it doesn't matter. But then I don't know whether Morton's has this. I haven't been there in a while, but I am a connoisseur of key lime pie. Oh. And so everywhere I go, I check their whole card about key lime pie. And if it's refrigerated, meaning it was brought in and wasn't made there, I grade it down. It needs to be cool but room temperature graham cracker crust made on site.
Boy, that's good right there. Michael Holton with us here on the Rip City Drive. Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, this is great news today, and I'm excited to get to the games and get a chance to work with you, man. I really enjoy it, and you're right. The team that we have in the broadcast crew and the way that we know each other and the connection, it makes for a lot of fun, and I look forward to it, buddy.
I look forward, man. Thanks for having me on today.
You got it. There's Michael Holton. Happy 40th anniversary to he and his wife, August 10th, 40 years. It's a long time. It's great. And his birthday. And my birthday's coming up, too. I mean, a lot of things to be excited about. A lot of Blazer news this summer. Unusual to have all the news. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can also reach out to me on X at Chad and Rip City. That's a great way to get in touch with me. And you can always listen live and podcast the show via our free iHeartRadio app. 503-248-0620. But it is great news, and that's what we're celebrating today. It was announced, and the press release went out, that we have extended our partnership with the Portland Trail Blazers. And, I talked about this earlier, but, the longer I've been in this business, you start to see things a little bit differently. And in today's world, relationships, partnerships, especially in radio and being able to provide live and local radio, those partnerships are critical. And the Trailblazers, in their front office, on the business side, and the team that they put together, Kevin Kinghorn and his crew are amazing. Great people to work with. A lot of people who have grown up here, are raising their families here, and doing good work. And I enjoy working with them. And it's fun to be a part of that. So big thanks to the Trailblazers and to my big bosses, Marshall and Rich, for being able to get this done. Love it. So very excited and hard to believe, but the season's right around the corner. September 29th will be Trailblazer Media Day. And a couple of weeks after that, they'll start playing preseason games. Mary Lou called in earlier and said she's going to hit some of the preseason games. That's probably a pretty smart idea because we know young Hansen will get some extended run in the preseason. All right, I've got a Tumani Kamara jersey. So we're going to want to give this away. And this will be the third item. Love Tumani, one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. This is a black Trailblazers Tumani Kamara jersey. And we'll take caller number 20. So call now if you would like a Tumani Kamara game jersey, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Fire away. I want to hear from a Kamara fan. 503-248-0620. If you'd like a Tumani Kamara Trailblazers jersey, call now. We'll take caller number 20. Light them up. All you have to do is call. It's not going to cost you a darn thing, and you'll have a Tumani Kamara jersey, one of the rising defensive stars in the NBA. And big thanks to the Trailblazers, Ryan Flaherty and Aaron Grossman, for supplying us with the goods to give away today as we celebrate the partnership. 503-248. Call now! You can have a Blazer jersey. Tumani! 503-248-0620. And there you have it. Other than that, I think we got some warm temperatures coming in. I just know that the temperature for the early tea times in the morning, we're talking about it being up over 70, which is rare. But we're getting a nice little heat wave that's coming in. The carry on the golf ball. Nice little kick and roll in the fairways with the firmness. Totally down. Enjoying the weather, too. Like right now, looking out the studio window. Blue skies, sunshine, perfection. The only downside is the days are getting shorter now. It's like, wait, what? Why is that happening? 503-248-0620. Nice job lighting up the phones, my friends. I see a Chad calling. It's rare to see that name. (503-248-0620). Other news today, there were multiple trades that went down in the NFL, which I guess to a certain degree is a bit unusual. But teams are out there making things happen. And here are the three trades that we saw today. The Chiefs traded wide receiver Sky Moore in a 7th rounder to the 49ers for a 6th. The Broncos traded wide receiver Devon Vele to the Saints for a 4th and a 7th. They got more in return for Vele than they did Jerry Jeudy. The Vikings traded defensive tackle Harrison Phillips and a 7th to the Jets for 2 6th-rounders. And the Browns traded Jawan Briggs and a 7th to the Jets for a 6th-round pick. So a very active day in the NFL as teams are out there, continuing to piece together their rosters. Still laughing at that picture that John LaCroft had put up of Travis Demers wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. That would never happen. It was nice, though. I went over and had a chance to meet Travis's parents. I had talked to them on the phone before. They live out in New York, but they came for a visit, and that was really cool. Very nice people. And it was fun to see Travis at home, outside of work, hanging out at the table, talking to his parents and being a dad at the same time, with both boys running around like crazy, jumping on him and talking to him. And Trav, I got to tell you what, Trav looks like a pretty good dad. Pretty good dad. He's very patient. You can tell he loves his boys. Very cool. Travis Demers is a good friend. And it's just neat to see that, but really neat to see his parents too. And now I can see why he's the way he is. Also, Duke, the UPS guy, reached out, and he's right. I am a moron. I think many of you are familiar with this. I was mentioning the Broncos receiver Trent Sherfield Sr., and I couldn't understand why someone at his age, who's a youngster coming into the NFL, would be a senior. Duke, the UPS driver, says, silly, he has a son that's junior. That might be the most boneheaded thing I've ever heard you say. Now, do you realize that comment there? The most boneheaded thing I've ever said? Like, that's saying a lot, because I've said a lot of boneheaded things on the radio before. And then he says, remember when Steve Smith has his child and he changes his name to Steve Smith Sr.? And he told me he's also a junior. You're right, that was dumb. I just didn't understand it. So there you go. Oh, Rob Siskey chimed in for Michael Holton. Reconciled. Reunited? Yeah, so the plural word would be reconciled? Is that right, Rob? I know one thing that people don't need in this world is me trying to provide an English lesson. I'll take both. Reunited, and it feels so good, and reconciled. All right, 503-248-0620. I appreciate your time. Big thanks to Michael Holton. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. This would definitely be my happy song. The late, great Chuck Mangione, Feels So Good. Dame Goat Cheese on X sent me a message, reunification. Now, is that a word, reunification? I don't think I've ever used that word before. We've got reunited, and it feels so good. Michael Holton was looking for the plural version of reunited. And that's when I got the message from my guy Rob who said reconciled. Reconciled. Yeah. Reconciled wouldn't work in a song. There you go. I know that works with a lot of musicians. They have to pick words based on syllables, things that will flow well in the song. That's all. All right. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. And we're good on all the winners, right, Shacker? Phone line's lit up.
Yeah. We're all out of prizes.
Did the individual that won the Scoot jersey and full-on uniform with the shorts, did they say they would wear that to a game?
I asked them to wear it to the game because I said Billups will put you in the game if you show up wearing that.
Have you ever worn a jersey to a sporting event?
Baseball jersey at a baseball game, but it would be with jeans. I mean, I didn't dress up like I was ready to play.
Did you ever go to 49er or Giant games when you were younger?
A lot of Giants games, only saw the 49ers in preseason.
All right, so Barry Bonds is your favorite Giant of all time?
Yeah.
Who's your favorite 49er, Joe Montana or Jerry Rice or Steve Young?
All of them. I can't have a favorite. I like them all. I don't play favorites with my Niners.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, with the Broncos, I have many favorites, but John Elway is my number one.
I know, but you're mentioning all the winners, the ones who win the championship. So I like all of them.
That's true, but you might have a player, too. I have guys I really like that weren't necessarily associated with the winning teams, but players that were.
I mean, I like Ronnie Lott because I got to meet him once. I mean.
How cool was he? I've met him before, too. I thought he was awesome.
Oh, super awesome.
The 49ers that I've met face-to-face, Jerry Rice, Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott. Jerry Rice was super cool. I challenged him, or he challenged me to run the hills with him in San Francisco. Thankfully, that never happened. But he did look me in the eye because I asked him, I was like, Jerry, Lo Neal knew him really well. So Jerry came in studio, and he was super cool. Like, that guy's like, it's like, dude, you're the greatest wide receiver ever. I was just staring at him. But I asked him, I was like, what have you found post-playing career for the competition to get your juices flowing, to replicate or anything? Have you found something? He goes, I'm still looking. You know, it's like a lot of those guys, they love the competition and the intensity of that so much at that level that they're searching. They can't find anything to replace it because there's nothing like it.
Now, are you a fan of Jerry Rice because he was a Denver Bronco for a moment in time?
No, because the Broncos had him at the very end. I mean, Jerry Rice was great. He even had, some very productive times with the Raiders, but he's the best of the best. Like, there's never been a wide receiver like him. Great route runner, underrated speed, incredible production. Like, he's the best. He was always open, too. Always running past guys and always open. And he had a great connection with Montana. Jerry Rice is a stud. Like certain players, like Barry Sanders at running back, Jerry Rice at receiver, Ronnie Lott is the best safety of all time. Like, there's just certain players where you're like, okay, that guy's legit. Ronnie Lott was awesome. Feared. He would crush guys. Remember the Bengals in that Super Bowl back in '88? They were running the football and having success early. And then all of a sudden, Ronnie Lott hit Ickey Woods, and he went backwards, and the game changed. That hit changed the tone of the game.
Well, before we run out of time, and I got to ask you, because you met a lot of football players, former NFL players, who had the biggest hands? Anyone crush your hands during a handshake?
Lo Neal. Yeah, his hands were – no. Lo Neal's a ridiculously strong human being. Okay, let me think of his name. He's a Hall of Famer. I met him down when I was covering the Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl. I
only ask because I still have memories of shaking Jim Brown's hand, and he just crushed.
Anthony Munoz, probably the greatest left tackle of all time for the Bengals. Well, Lo Neal knows everybody, right? So when we were down there covering the Super Bowl for the station in San Francisco, we had lunch with Anthony Munoz, and he was like the kindest gentleman you could ever want to meet. He was so cool, and he was talking to me. He was referring to me with my first name. Hey, Chad, where are you from, and what's your story? And I'm just like, wow, Anthony Munoz. When he shook my hand, I felt like an inferior human being because his hand was this giant like club that just engulfed my hand. And I couldn't get any type of grip or firmness. Like he just crushed me. And so I felt inferior. Like, I'm sorry. I almost apologized for giving him a limp, weak handshake because he crushed me. He's too big. And then I was like, no wonder he was able to destroy defensive ends trying to get to the quarterback because he was so dominant. That's a strong human being right there. And this was years after his playing days. But you don't realize how big some of those dudes are until you see them in person. You're like, wow, that's a human being right there. Anthony Munoz, number one. Lo Neal is a strong guy. Lo Neal was California Athlete of the Year at one time. Great wrestler. Yeah, he was a freak. And he should be in the Hall of Fame for his fullback blocking, but it's hard for a fullback to get in. But it was great talking to him. He blocked for LaDainian Tomlinson, Corey Dillon, Eddie George. I mean, the long list of highly productive players. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Tomorrow, very excited. I'm going to be over at Clark College inside of the culinary building talking to East Coast Earl and his entire crew, so it's going to be a lot of fun. A big thanks to our guests today, Travis Demers and Michael Holton. The big boss, Marshall, just came by to apologize. He got stuck in a meeting and could not join me at 5. I said, no problem, buddy. But I appreciate all of you and very excited about the future. And a big thanks to the Portland Trailblazers and everyone that's a part of their team. Michael Shacker for engineering the program. You guys have a great night. We will talk to you tomorrow at 3 with the Rip City Drive.